We continue to follow developments out of the Middle East. A ceasefire between Israel and Iran now in effect, and after an early one faltered.
North Suburban Congressman Brad Schneider is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and recently returned from a trip to the Middle East as part of a congressional delegation. He joins us now live. Congressman, thanks for being with us. First of all, do you have any more insight into the status of what appears to be a very fragile ceasefire at this hour?
I only know what I'm reading in the press, as I'm sure you are, talking to friends in Israel. It seems to be holding. It was off to a very rocky start. Iran launched a number of missiles at Israel early this morning, our time, or I guess late last night, killing 4 people in Beersheba. And then they launched a missile or a number of rockets into northern Israel after the set time for the ceasefire, and Israel then responded by taking out a radar station in Tehran. I hope that was the end. If this is truly a ceasefire and an end of the fighting, and as President Trump has wished for, and I'll join him in that wish, if this opens the door to a new path towards peace and prosperity in the Middle East, then that's a good thing.
Let's talk about what may have potentially led up to the idea of Iran agreeing to a ceasefire. Do we have any confirmation of how effective the American strikes were? I mean, what can satellite tell us, and what do we really know at this point?
Yeah, all you can see from the satellite pictures are that the American, the bombs, these large bombs they can penetrate under the ground, did appear to create craters in the mountain in Fordo. We can't see into the mountain and necessarily see. It's the facilities, the nuclear facilities are 300 feet below ground, so we can't see those until we get inspectors into Iran to actually look at that. But you can induce from the fact that Iran made the decision to call off the fighting that we probably did have a significant impact on their nuclear program.
A ceasefire is not a peace deal. The Iranian regime is still in charge there. But bottom line, is the world safer today than we were 12 days ago?
I think unquestionably the world is safer. If Iran has been moved back from the precipice of having nuclear weapons, that is good for the region and the world. I was in the region last week. We had a trip to Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE. We were supposed to go to Israel. And we made it to the 3 Arab states in the Gulf. Every one of the people we talked to said Iran with a nuclear weapon is an existential threat to every state in the region, not just Israel, and to America and the rest of the world as well. So if we have moved Iran back from the precipice, that is for sure a good thing. But ultimately, we don't need to just move Iran back. We need to block and permanently close every path Iran would have to a nuclear weapon. And that is going to require diplomacy, getting Iran to agree to allow the IAEA inspectors back into the country, to come back into compliance with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And ultimately, the hope is that Iran will abandon its nuclear ambitions, stop supporting terrorism, the #1 supporter of terrorism in the world, and even provide more freedoms to their people. That's up to the people of Iran to take what steps they have to restore their freedoms.
And that's the big existential question right now. I mean, you talk about inspectors. They have said they're not going to let inspectors in. So you wonder at this point, will they rebuild knowing that Israel and the U.S. will likely strike again? Or will they say, this is why we need to rebuild. We need to be more powerful?
Right. I mean, it is a fair question to say, does this give Iran incentive to abandon their aspirations and become part of the family of nations? Or are they going to take the opposite lesson and say they need to have nuclear weapons to continue the terror regime they've had for the last 46 years? Obviously, we hope it's the former, not the latter. We, the United States, our allies, the international community, needs to give the regime the off-ramp to abandon their nuclear programs. We can't do that at the cost of allowing them to continue to sow unrest and destabilization within the region as they've done for so many years. So a lot still has to happen. You can look at previous wars or battles where initial victory is lost over the years because you won the war but failed to win the peace or secure the peace. We have to secure the peace.
All righty. Congressman Brad Schneider, who represents Chicago's northern suburbs, we always appreciate your time. Thank you.